Three guys were sitting in a biker bar. A man came in, already drunk, sat down at the bar and ordered a drink. The man looked around and saw the three men sitting at a corner table. He got up, staggered to the table, leaned over, looked the biggest one in the face and said, "I went by your grandma's house and I saw her in the hallway, buck naked. Man, she is fine." The biker looked at him and didn't say a word. His buddies were confused because he was a badass and would fight at the drop of a hat. The drunk leaned on the table again and said, "I got it on with your grandma and she is good. The best I ever had." The biker still said nothing. His buddies were starting to get mad. The drunk leaned on the table again and said, "I'll tell you something else, boy. Your grandma liked it." The biker stood up, took the drunk by the shoulder and said, "Damn it, Grandpa, you're drunk. Go home." While playing in the backyard, little Johnny kills a honeybee. His father sees him killing the honeybee and angrily says, "No honey for you for 1 month." Later that afternoon, Johnny's dad catches him tearing the wings off a butterfly. "That's it. No butter for you for 1 month," says his dad. Later that evening, as Johnny's mother cooks dinner, a cockroach runs across the kitchen floor. She jumps and stomps on it, and then looks up to find little Johnny and her husband watching her. Little Johnny looks at his father and says, "Are you going to tell her, Dad? Or do you want me to?" A guy goes to the supermarket and notices an attractive woman waving at him. She says hello. He's rather taken aback because he can't place where he knows her from. So he says, "Do you know me?" To which she replies, "I think you're the father of one of my kids." Now his mind travels back to the only time he has ever been unfaithful to his wife and says, "My God, are you the stripper from my bachelor party that I made love to on the pool table with all my buddies watching while your partner whipped my butt with wet celery?" She looks into his eyes and says calmly, "No, I'm your son's teacher." One day, while Johnny's dad was just getting out of the shower, Johnny looked down and said, "Dad, what's that hanging between your legs?" "Oh, Johnny, that's my nerve, and yours will be this big one of these days," replies Johnny's dad. Anyway, the next day, while in school, Johnny really had to pee, so he raised his hand and said, "Miss, I really need to go to the bathroom." "No, not yet, there's someone gone," says his teacher. Not able to hold it in, Johnny walks to the garbage can and starts to pee. Surprised to see her student peeing in a garbage can in front of the whole class, the teacher says, "My Johnny, you have some nerve." Johnny says, "That's nothing, you should see my father's." A woman goes to her boyfriend's parents' house for dinner. This is Toby, her first time meeting the family, and she is very nervous. They all sit down and begin eating a fine meal. The woman is beginning to feel a little discomfort thanks to her nervousness and the broccoli casserole. The gas pains are almost making her eyes water. Left with no other choice, she decides to relieve herself a bit and lets out a dainty fart. It wasn't loud, but everyone at the table heard the poof. Before she even had a chance to be embarrassed, her boyfriend's father looked over at the dog that had been snoozing at the woman's feet and said in a rather stern voice, "Skippy," the woman thought, "this is great." And a big smile came across her face. A couple of minutes later, she was beginning to feel the pain again. This time, she didn't even hesitate. She let a much louder and longer fart rip. The father again looked, and the dog and yelled, "Damn it, Skippy!" Once again, the woman smiled and thought, "Yes." A few minutes later, the woman had to let another one rip. This time, she didn't even think about it. she let rip a fart that rivaled a train whistle blowing. Once again, the father looked at the dog with disgust and yelled, "Damn it, Skippy, get away from her before she shits on you." A father and his 6-year-old son are walking down the street and they come across 2 dogs having sex. The boy is shocked by what he sees and asks his father, "Daddy, what are they doing?" The father, not wanting to lie to his son, says, "They're just making a puppy." "Okay," says the son, and the father is relieved that he doesn't probe further. The next day, the son bursts into his parents' room and sees them having sex. The father jumps up and quickly covers himself. Knowing he's in for an interesting talk, walks downstairs with him, and they sit at the dining room table. His son asks him, "Daddy, what were you and Mummy doing?" Again, wanting to be honest with his son, he says, "Me and Mummy were making a baby." His son pauses for a moment, thinking, and then replies, "Flip Mummy over, I want a puppy." One day, during a lesson on proper grammar, the teacher asked for a show of hands for who could use the word beautiful in the same sentence twice. First, she called on little Susie, who responded with, "My father bought my mother a beautiful dress, and she looked beautiful in it." "Very good, Susie," replied the teacher. She then called on little Michael. "My mummy planned a beautiful banquet, and it turned out beautifully," he said. "Excellent, Michael." Then the teacher called on little Johnny. "Last night, at the dinner table, my sister told my father that she was pregnant, and he said, 'Beautiful fucking beautiful.'" "If you had $1, quizzed the teacher, "and you asked your father for another $1.50, how much money would you have?" $1, answered little Johnny. "You don't know your basic math," said the teacher, shaking her head, disappointed. Little Johnny shook his head too. "You don't know my daddy." A salesman rings the doorbell and little Johnny answers. Salesman: "Can I see your dad?" Johnny: "No, he's in the shower." Salesman: "What about your mother? Can I see her?" Johnny: "Nope, she's in the shower too." Salesman: "Do you think they'll be out soon?" Johnny: "Doubt it. When my dad asked me for the Vaseline, I gave him super glue instead." A child asked his father, "How were people born?" So his father said, "Adam and Eve made babies, then their babies became adults and made babies, and so on." The child then went to his mother, asked her the same question, and she told him, "We were monkeys, then we evolved to become like we are now." The child ran back to his father and said, "You lied to me." His father replied, "No, your mum was talking about her side of the family." A boy tells his father, "Dad, my math teacher is asking to see you." The father asks, "What happened?" "Well, she asked me, 'How much is 7 multiply 9?' I answer 63. Then she asks, 'And 9 multiply 7?' So I ask, 'What's the fucking difference?'" "Indeed, what is the difference?" says the father. "Sure, I'll go." The next day, the boy comes home from school and asks, "Dad, have you gone by the school?" "Not yet," the dad replies. The boy says, "Well, when you do, come and see the gym teacher also." "Why?" asks the father. The boy answers, "Well, we had a gym class today, and he asked me to raise my left arm, so I did. Then my right arm, so I raised it. Then he asked me to lift my right leg, so I did. Now he says, 'Lift your left leg.' So I answer, 'What, am I supposed to stand on my cock?' Exactly, says the father. All right, I'll come. The next day, the boy asks his father, Did you go by the school? No, not yet. Don't bother, I got expelled. The father asks, surprised, Why did you get expelled? They summoned me to the principal's office, and there were the math teacher, the gym teacher, and the art teacher. What the fuck was the art teacher doing there? The father asked. That's what I said. Subscribe to the channel. This is important. It will help me continue my work.